Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. If you've ever had a hand in managing or even just studying a business, you already know that inventory management is, well, it's basically a high-stakes tightrope walk. Lean too far one way and you're drowning in overstocked goods, just bleeding capital. But lean too far the other way, you hit stockouts, your operations literally grind to a halt, and your customers, they're going to walk right out the door to a competitor. So today, we're going to master that balancing act.
And that brings us directly to the ultimate sleep-losing question for any business. How much inventory should you actually order? It sounds like such a simple question, right? But getting it wrong is disastrous. Ordering too much leads to this severe resource burn. It just eats up precious funds and warehouse space. But not having enough? That immediately threatens your profitability, your productivity, and it absolutely kills your customer loyalty.
Okay, let's just dive right into this. To rescue businesses from this perpetual guessing game, we use what are known as inventory control models. Think of these kind of like your mathematical superheroes. They are precise methods used to calculate the absolute optimal quantity and the timing of your inventory orders. The objective here is simple but incredibly powerful: to perfectly balance your ordering costs, your holding costs, and your stockout costs so that the exact right quantity of goods is sitting there precisely when you need it.
So here's our roadmap for the Explainer today to demystify all this math. First, the Inventory Balancing Act. Second, Economic Order Quantity or EOQ. Third, the Quantity Discount Model. Fourth, hitting the reorder point. And finally, calculating reorder points.
All right, jumping right into Section 1, the Inventory Balancing Act.
So, when deciding how to replenish your stock over a given period, let's say 6 months or a year, you essentially have two totally conflicting goals. On one side, you can just buy in huge, large quantities. This is great because it ensures smooth production and gives you much lower per-order setup costs. But the catch is you get hit with massive carrying costs, meaning the expense of storing all that extra stuff. Now, on the flip side, you can buy in really small quantities. Your carrying costs drop significantly, which is great, but then you face a big hike in ordering costs and this constant looming risk of stockouts pausing your whole operation. So, how do we find that mathematical middle ground?
That takes us to Section 2, Economic Order Quantity, or EOQ for short.
This is widely considered the ultimate quantitative tool for minimizing your total inventory costs. What we have here is the classic EOQ formula. Now, I know it might look like just a bunch of algebra, but let's focus on what these letters actually represent in the real world. You're looking for the exact optimum level of quantity per order. In this formula, A stands for your exact annual usage or consumption, B represents your ordering costs per individual order, and C is your per unit carrying cost. The EOQ forecasts the perfect lot size where the trade-off between setting up an order and holding the inventory is perfectly balanced, bringing your total costs down to their absolute lowest level. Let's actually calculate it to see it in action. Say you use 1,000 boxes a year, placing an order costs $10 and holding a box costs $2. Plug those in and this formula quickly tells you to order exactly 100 boxes at a time. Simple, right?
But, we have to be realistic here. The EOQ model is incredibly powerful, but it relies on some very strict limitations. It assumes you know your exact annual usage, that your consumption rate is perfectly steady, that your costs never fluctuate, and most crucially, that you get instant replenishment the exact second your stock hits zero. Now, in the unpredictable real world, instant replenishment isn't always a thing. Deliveries get delayed for reasons totally beyond your control. Plus, what happens when suppliers start offering bulk pricing? Which brings us perfectly to Section 3, the Quantity Discount Model.
This is an inventory model that challenges pure EOQ by introducing a super common reality: bulk pricing incentives. Let's step away from the corporate warehouse and ground this in an everyday retail reality. Imagine a vegetable vendor at the end of the day. They've got perishable stock they really need to clear out. Normally, they sell this vegetable for 60 rupees a kilo. So, 2 kilos is 120 rupees. But to clear it out before it goes bad, they drop the price of 2 kilos down to 100 rupees. And if you buy even more, they might drop it further. As a buyer, you now have a dilemma. Buying more lowers your total cost per kilo for sure, but it raises your maintenance and holding costs for keeping all those bulk vegetables fresh.
Now, what's really interesting is how this plays out for retail buyers, say for something like swimming goggles. The quantity discount model helps buyers get better deals by increasing their units per transaction. Check out the tiers here. If you order fewer than 58 units, it's 207 rupees and 50 paise per unit. Stepping up to the 59 to 82 range drops the price to 207.25. And if you order in bulk, say 83 or more, it's a flat 207 rupees. This increased volume leads to economies of scale. You save on the unit price and per order costs like shipping, but you have to mathematically balance that against the cost of holding all those extra goggles. Now, knowing the perfect quantity is fantastic, but honestly, it's kind of useless if you completely miss the purchasing window and run out of stock anyway.
And timing is exactly what Section 4 is about, hitting the reorder point.
Think of a reorder point as your built-in alarm bell. It is the specific minimum inventory level that triggers a new order before your stock actually runs out. It's the precise point at which a firm needs to pick up the phone and call the vendor. This specific level guarantees you can continue to meet customer demand during the exact time it takes to actually receive that new shipment, which we call the lead time. It prevents stockouts, it stops overstocking, and ensures you never lose a single sale to an empty shelf. So, how do we actually find that magic number?
Let's figure that out in Section 5, Calculating Reorder Points.
Okay, let's prepare to apply the math here. The standard formula for your reorder point is a really simple three-step process. Step 1, determine your average daily usage. Step 2, multiply that by your lead time in days. That's exactly how long the supplier takes to deliver your goods. And Step 3, add your safety stock if you have any. It's actually worth noting that businesses using super lean inventory practices or just-in-time management will often just completely remove that safety stock step entirely, especially if they're resupplying from a warehouse they control.
Let's completely de-jargonize this math with a real-world scenario. Meet Sham Bookstore. They are a 40-year-old store. They have a highly reliable supplier, so they operate super lean and hold absolutely zero safety stock. Now, they sell an average of 350 books a week. Their lead time for receiving a new batch of books is 2 weeks. So how do we calculate their trigger? Well, first we just convert everything to daily numbers. 350 books a week divided by 7 days gives us an average daily consumption of 50 books. And a 2-week lead time? That gives us exactly 14 days.
So here is the crucial takeaway. 50 books a day multiplied by a 14-day lead time equals exactly 700. The very second Sham Bookstore's inventory drops to exactly 700 books, that is the absolute trigger to call their vendor. Because their supplier takes exactly 14 days, the new stock is going to arrive just in time, on the exact day their current stock of 700 books hits zero. This lets them continue selling without a single interruption. It's almost like magic, but it's just great math.
Which really brings us to our final thought for today's explainer. When you look at your own business, or one you're studying, which model best balances the tightrope for you? Do you prefer the comfort of a safe, bulky stockroom, or are you ready to run a lean, mathematically precise operation? Because by mastering these inventory control models, whether it's EOQ, quantity discounts, or pinpointing that exact reorder point, businesses just operate leaner, smarter, and a whole lot more profitably. So think about how these mathematical heroes can apply to your own ventures to end the guessing game once and for all. Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive, and keep learning.